Rage Against Everything, one of our grade pieces for the school exams. The introduction is going to be in the first video. The second video will have the overdrive. So let's get going. We want to get something that sounds more or less like this. Now I'm going to break it down, show you different picking tips, different finger configurations, explain why I prefer them, point out little things to watch out for, etc, etc. But before we get going, let's have a look at the picking hands. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here. And assuming you got your first chord in place, now I'm using fingers 1 and 4, you may use 1 and 3 as well, I'm not too worried about that. But I want to hear this, all the notes must ring. And you'll notice my finger at the back there, my pinky that's tapping lightly, it's actually resting on the guitar for support. It helps me get string position so my hand can't accidentally drift. If my hand drifts, I'm going to pick the wrong string. So by keeping my fingers at the bottom over here, it gives me some sort of location. I can feel my guitar. I can know my strings are here. Because I want to be able to play this without actually looking at my guitar. My focus must be listening to what the effect sounds like, listening to the music, and keeping my eyes on the sheet music if I still haven't learned it yet. Now, if I put the two together, this is what I don't want to hear. Because I've heard one or two of those. Then make sure that your fingers are nice and staying on the guitar to let those notes ring. And it says there let ring as well on the page. And nice quick changes, no gaps as you change across as well. Now I'm going to focus more onto the fretting hand now to take you through the different ways to play the chords. First chord is a fret 7 and 9. I use fingers 1 and 4 like I suggested, but I have had some students do 1 and 3 as well, so theirs would look like this. Notice the fingers don't move, they're into position and they stay there for that entire bar. And when you do the move down from the first to the second bar, all that happens is this. Now the reason why I like the pinky is because when I get to the third bar for this, first bar, second bar, third bar, you'll notice that on the third bar, first bar again, I move down 2 to the second bar, and on the third bar, pinky stays put, and the first finger simply goes back. But if I used 1 and 3, I'd have to do this. Still happy? Now you can do that, but personally that's not my most comfortable moment. I notice some of you actually do still prefer 1 and 3, but personally 1 and 4 just lends itself better. There's the first shape, simply moves back, and then for me that's a little bit of an easier stretch. But if you really prefer 1 and 3, I am happy with that. Now things to watch out for though. If you look at the fourth bar of the first line, it goes 3 5 0 5 3 5 0 4. So you're going to go from here, there's my third fret. Now what's the pinky here? There's two ways of doing it. You can do it like this. You can just pull the pinky back one more time. Or if you want to, you can switch over to the third finger. Like that. I'm sitting at a bit of a weird angle to sort of demonstrate my fingers. So if you get a dead note or two from my side, it means because the guitar is at a very, very uncomfortable angle just so that I can show you what to do. So please forgive me for a bad note or two. Now, second line is exactly the same as the first line. I'm hoping you agree with me. And as you get to the fourth bar of the second line, you'll notice one note has changed. In that last C5 it goes. The 4 comes in one beat earlier. It's 3 4 0 4 instead of 3 5 0 4 in the last 4 notes. So there's subtle little variations like that. So we need to watch out for that. Maybe grab a highlighter and mark those parts down, because if you skip them, trust me, your teacher marking the exam will pick them up, even though they sound very, very cool. Now, in the third line, you'll notice now that 4 7, that big stretch over here, goes from here to a 5. So the third bar now has got my subtle change, and there's even a subtle change in the second bar. And the second bar's got a nasty stretch. I'm actually sort of doing it back to front now, but at least we're highlighting them. You're going to have second bar, and you'll notice there's a line there. That's an insane stretch, but make sure you get it. And you can let it go as soon as possible to make sure it gets there. That's the pinky. So second bar, You're going to go 5 7 0 7 5 9 0 7, and then you're going to get that 4 7. You have to change down now. And another way to do it, if you want to, remember I like using first and pinky. You can do the 5 7 like this, second bar, third line. You can do that up and then move back, but it is a bit of a sneaky one, and like I said, I'm sitting at quite an awkward angle to try and demonstrate it, so my techniques aren't as clean as I'd like to get them. I'd actually like to have them more like that, but you can see what I'm doing. That's the important part. So watch out for the silly things. Fourth time round, the E minor now has a change where it goes from, it's got a 10 lurking inside there, so get a highlighter like we said, mark off those subtle little changes. If you're not sure where they are, just compare line for line and you'll see that the little changes go through. They're there to make sure you're paying attention and to make sure that you can learn to make subtle variations to a really cool basic riff. It's nice to know what we can do within the chords. This is a very, very good introduction. I'll see you on the second video now shortly, where we're going to look at some power chords and the heavy part and some nice little riffs. So get this right first, and I'll see you shortly. Thank you.